welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Melina. Today I wanted to talk about how I became a professional photographer, all the way from the beginning of my photography career in high school, all the way through college, post-college journey, to now. So grab your coffee and let's chat. Let's time travel back to, when did I start high school? 2010. So as a freshman, I went into high school and you're like picking classes and you get to pick your electives. I was thinking at that point, what is gonna be fun and also kind of be an easy A? Because I took a lot of AP classes when I was in high school. So I wanted my electives to be, a little more chill. So I signed up for Intro to Digital Photography. And that is where it all begins. So I go through this class. I actually take it with my best friend Zoe. And it was a lot of fun, like just learning all the different, beginner things, like how to use one of those big professional cameras, a DSLR. I had never really played with photography before in my earlier life and childhood. I did a lot of drawing actually, and a lot of hands-on arts and crafts. I had never really played around with a camera until this point. So it was all very new to me. And we did all these like weekly challenges, like, just learning all the different rules of photography, like the rule of thirds or portrait photography or, architectural photography, and just little things like that to kind of get us, familiar with the technique and just familiar with operating a camera. At the end of that class, I had enjoyed it so much that I decided to take the next course the following semester. I think they were just one semester each. So the next semester I had taken the next step up class. And just going throughout high school, I just loved it more and more, and I wanted to learn everything I could about photography. And the easy A class that I decided to take freshman year, I ended up in AP Digital Photography. I actually took that class twice because I loved it so much. And it wasn't until I think senior year in one of those AP photography classes that I discovered a photographer named Jose Villa. And he is a fine art wedding photographer. He does a lot of film. I had not played with film. I did a little bit. And it was with my grandpa's old film camera that ended up being non-functional, and I only learned that after doing my entire summer project on a broken camera, and all the photos just were not there. The film was completely blank, and I hadn't tried film after that until this year. So 10 years later, it was that traumatizing. Anyway, after I had discovered Jose Villa, I had realized you can do photography as a career, as a job. You can get paid and make money doing this. And I loved that. I was all over that, and and I found him pretty early on in the senior year. And so after that, I was just obsessed. I wanted to be a photographer. I wanted to be a wedding photographer, and I wanted it to be my job. So that was all I had focused on. I had never really had an idea of what I wanted to do after high school as a career. So this was like the first thing that had really piqued something in me that I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to go for. I ended up applying to one college, because I still thought you had to go to college for photography. You do not. I do think it was still a valuable experience, so I will say that. But I applied to one college, and that was the Northwest College of Art and Design, and I was accepted. So I went to NCAD straight after high school, the next, following semester in September after graduation, and, got my license, my driver's license, when I had, I don't know, 3 days before the first day of school, and it was 3 hours away. So at NCAD, there is a double major requirement. At least there was when I was there. And so I decided to double major in digital photography and motion design, mostly out of fear and thoughts that I wasn't good enough to be in an illustration or, graphic design focused major, which I think was a mistake. I think my other option would have been just to be in graphic design. I do think that would have been more applicable to me now rather than motion design. I don't use motion design at all, unfortunately, now. So I wish I would have had a little bit more faith in myself that I could have learned graphic design, but it's already gone now. But the most important one was digital photography, obviously. And I did a lot of projects in college that were wedding focused. So I would put on styled bridal shoots for myself. I actually photographed my first wedding for someone who was connected to my boss at my waitressing job. So they hooked me up with my first wedding gig, and I was ecstatic. I could not believe that I was already gonna get my first wedding job, and I did that for free, which is fine. You should be doing stuff for free as a beginner and not a professional. You should definitely do stuff for free at first. I do believe I am on that side of the fence. While you're still learning, you should do as much free stuff as you possibly can. And once you know your stuff, then you need to be charging accordingly. So after this first wedding gig, I was that fueled me. I loved every minute of it. The whole experience was a little bit chaotic because they had literally, hired me the week before, or maybe not even a full 7 days before their wedding day. So that was really chaotic and a little bit, crazy for me as the beginner, just not knowing how to handle this kind of situation, or, I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know what I needed because I hadn't learned that yet. So every wedding in the beginning was a learning experience. I would also go out of my way to learn from other photographers online. I had actually, during college, bought a course for wedding photography from a photographer named Eric McVeigh. He's also in the same vein as Jose Villa, very similar style, does a lot of film, and was also just kind of the picture of what I wanted to be. And so I did a lot of outside learning alongside my college classes. I just love learning. I love learning. Even now, I just signed up for Skillshare so that I could just learn random things. I just love learning. I started this YouTube channel because I watched a Skillshare video about how to start a YouTube channel. I just love learning. So I do a lot of extra learning outside of my main college courses. So I would bring all these things that I learn and continue to learn into the next wedding. We'll kind of cut to graduation from college, and I move back home, and I just kind of sit and wait for all those wedding inquiries to come to me. I set up my website. I have a portfolio that I'm super proud of. I'm all ready to go. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And just nothing happens. Nothing happens. And it's extremely disappointing. The reality that you have to work for your own clients. You actually have to actively find people or work to put yourself in front of them. And I didn't really like internalize that. That was a really, really hard reality for me. I thought like I had just graduated college and I'm already a failure. So I get a part-time job working at Old Navy while I'm trying to figure out how to start this business that I thought would kind of just start itself. And I'm working and I do get some things here and there, like I'm doing a few weddings here and there. I'll second shoot for a few people and doing senior photo shoots, couples, that kind of thing, just sprinkled throughout. And it's not until 2019 when one of my past brides now is like one of my best friends. She asked me to do a boudoir session for her. And I told her I have never done anything like that. And funny enough, in college, one of my friends in my photography program was wanting to be a boudoir photographer, and I was her model 99% of the time. And I had just always thought to myself, like, this is fun and like this makes me feel pretty good, but this just isn't for me. I'm a wedding photographer. I would never do this. Completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So my friend asked me to do a shoot for her, a boudoir shoot for her. She was okay with me experimenting, and so was I, so we just went for it. She booked a hotel for us to do the shoot in. She brought like all of the stuff, and I just brought myself, my camera, and a borrowed light from my mother-in-law, who is also a photographer. We did the photo shoot, and I think I took so long that we were shooting for probably like 3.5 hours. My friend was exhausted, rightfully so. That's a lot of work for 3.5 hours. It's a lot of posing. It's very physically trying. I loved it, like way more than weddings. And it felt really weird to think that, like this thing that I had worked for so long at to be a wedding photographer, I kind of just wanted to like throw it out the window after this first boudoir session. Like, it gave me so much energy. It fueled me so much creatively. I was so inspired. I had so much fun editing, and then like letting her see the final photos, and she was so excited about them, and so was I. And it was just such a different sensation that I'd never felt with doing weddings, that I thought maybe I should try this out a little bit more, with a little more intention. Now that I've done it once, I can really put myself out there and maybe make this, a thing for me. And like I said, that was at the end of 2019. So it's coming. So March 2020, right before, and I mean literally the week before the entire world shuts down, I have 2 models that I'm doing boudoir photo shoots for. People that I know. They let me, they were okay with me sharing their photos online and just letting me kind of try stuff out. Again, I was so fueled by it. I had so much fun. I just never wanted it to end. And so I thought, wow, I should really start offering this. I'll still do wedding photography, but I think I do want to start offering this as an official service. And then, of course, the world shuts down. The big 19. And at this point, I had now been working a part-time job as an insurance sales rep, and I hated it. Unfortunately, I was not having fun. It did not feel like I was putting my time into something that, fulfilled me. All I could think about all day while I was at work was being a photographer. This is when I had learned that I have anxiety and was like hyperventilating every day before going to work. And I was very, very mentally unwell. So June comes around 2020 and I have pretty much had enough of insurance. I want out and I want to do boudoir photography. It's all I want to do. And boudoir photography and photography in general is not, whatever they called it, a necessary job or whatever it was. But I quit my job anyway. I'm very, very privileged to have the support of my boyfriend, and he has a job that was deemed, important or whatever, where they were okay to keep working. So he was like pushing me, like, he wanted to support me financially, emotionally, all the things. And I quit my job to be a full-time photographer. That was 4 years ago. Why does that make me emotional? And then I think the next year after that, I got my studio. What the heck? So I've been in my current studio for, about 3 years. And somewhere along the line, I decided that weddings just did not fuel me anymore like boudoir does. So I had decided to slowly start migrating my website and my work and my portfolio into a fully boudoir based service. And I'm so happy that I did. I have never felt as fulfilled as I do when I do boudoir. The experience that I have giving my clients an experience that they will never forget is something that is so special. Just celebrating femininity, celebrating a version of ourselves that maybe doesn't get to be seen, maybe ever. Having that in a physical form, like photographs printed in a book or as a wall display, is super special, and I just would not trade it for anything. And I still haven't. There have been times where business has been really slow and I've thought, maybe I should get another part-time job, and I just can't bring myself to do it. And yet every time I say no, the work starts coming again. And that's how we got here. Full-time boudoir photographer. I have my own studio, and I have just never felt more creatively inspired and fulfilled than I do now. And I hope that I can share more of that journey and maybe more of that story even in more detail with you here. I hope this inspires you to keep going. Lean into your support systems. Lean into your friends and family if they're willing and telling you that they will help you. Let them help you. Being an artist stuck in a 9-to-5 job is probably the worst feeling ever. If you have to do it, you have to do it. Keep going. Keep going. I'm cheering you on. If I can do it, you can do it. It truly feels like I'm living some kind of like dream sometimes, where I just think there's no way that I could possibly be a full-time self-employed artist, because we're supposed to be starving artists, right? We don't have to be. So I hope you found this inspiring or encouraging in some way. Or if you're just here for the chit chat, cheers. If you like hanging out together, please give this video a like. Maybe even leave me a comment saying, if you're an artist, tell me what you do. Do you do it full time? Are you wanting to do it full time? Just share what you do if you're an artist as well. And if you want to keep hanging out with me and learning more about boudoir photography or just art in general, then hit the subscribe button and let's hang out some more. So thank you so much for being here and for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Bye!